Scene 1: Valak's flagship Torment Spire in the cold vastness of deep space. The Torment Spire drifted silently, a massive Valak's dreadnought, dark and jagged, like a knife carved from obsidian. Its mission: hunt and capture the last known human asset, Alara Voss. The ship bristled with firepower and elite troops. It carried weapons meant for planetary sieges and armor that could survive suns. But it wasn't ready for ghosts. Inside the command deck, Admiral Gorin, a three-armed beast with blade-like tusks, barked orders, sensors tuned to biological residue. "Find her now." A Coms officer hissed nervously. "Sir?" "The prison cell she escaped from is gone. There's no trace. No trail." Gorin slammed a clawed fist down. She didn't vanish. Humans can't vanish. But just then, the lights flickered. Everything went quiet. Scene to Raven 9 begins insertion. Outside, beyond the flagship's scanning perimeter, Raven 9 floated silently in deep shadow. Its surface was cloaked, its engines cold. Inside, the revenants prepped for another drop. Reese studied the flagship schematics. Valak's prison ship, Alara, was held here before the tribunal. They keep a live backup of her neural data core. If they crack it, Nova cut in, they'll know everything. Reese nodded. "We can't let that happen." Wraith leaned back, checking his blades. "Let's erase the past." Scene 3: Blackout begins. Nova's virus uploaded through. A microprobe stuck on the hull slid past the flagship's ancient security code like a shadow through smoke. The lights inside the ship dimmed, then died. The bridge officers screamed. Screens went black. Backup power failed. Emergency beacons didn't light. Gorin shouted, "Find the fault. Where's security?" But no answers came, because the security teams were already dead. Scene: For the crew begins to vanish in the lower decks. Patrol walk through the halls, confused. The first soldier vanished into a vent. No scream. Just gone. The second turned, and a flash of metal sliced through his chest. A third ran, but something dropped from the ceiling, crushed him in silence. On the cameras, when they worked, shadows flickered in impossible angles. Reese and his revenants moved like living nightmares, phasing through smoke, fire, and steel. No lights, no words. Only kills. Scene 5: Ilara's discovery in the Raven 9 drop bay. Ilara sat watching the data feed. A hologram pulsed beside her, a human neural backup. Her neural backup. She stared at it. "That's my memory, my voice, my mind." "Ghost." Squad's CyberOps tech spoke from the corner. "They copied it when you were captured. Probably used it for interrogation sim training." Ilara's voice turned cold. "Then we burn it." Ghost nodded. "We're already inside the core. Reese will plant the charge." Scene 6: Inside the data chorus, and Wraith crept through the flagship's data sanctum, a cathedral of glowing spires and humming crystals. At the center was a containment pod holding the neural imprint of Alara Voss. It pulsed gently, still active. "This is her," Wraith whispered. "Reese set the charge. No past, no copies, no weakness." Just then, a massive clawed figure dropped. From the ceiling, one of the Valak's genetically enhanced void hunters. It snarled, revealing serrated teeth. Scene 7: The fight in the chorus grabbed. Wraith dove behind a column as plasma bolts ripped through the air. Another void hunter joined the first. Then another 3 against 2. But the revenants didn't need numbers. Reese signaled silently. Wraith vanished. The first hunter lunged, but Wraith appeared midair and drove. Both blades into its skull. Reese fired his sonic rifle point blank into the second's chest. The third struck him hard, slamming him into a data wall. Blood trickled from Reese's mouth. He smiled. Wrong move. He triggered the demolition charge. The room exploded in a pulse of light. Scene 8: Escape outside. Raven 9 flew under the ship's belly, waiting for extraction. Reese and Wraith burst through a hull breach, fire chasing them. Drex caught them. At the ramp, cutting it close, as always, Lara saw Reese limping. You're hurt. He shook his head. not dead. They blasted off into the dark, leaving the flagship in chaos. Behind them, explosions rocked the Torment Spire. Inside the data core, everything burned. Scene 9, the galaxy reacts. News of the breach spread quickly. Too quickly, the Valaks tried to cover it up, but survivors talked. Footage leaked. Aliens across the stars began whispering. The humans are back. The revenants walk again. It can't be stopped. Black market forums posted grainy images of black armored figures standing over burning Valaks. Banners, someone gave them a name, the Deathless. Scene 10, Savarik watches on his warship. Savarik the Devourer watched the final footage. He leaned forward as Reese's face flickered into focus. He growled. Kale, you survived the massacre on Teak Prime? Of course you did? His second-in-command asked. Orders. Savarik turned to the map, tracking Raven Neen's escape path. Let them run. We'll bait them. Set the trap. He bared his teeth. They won't escape next time. Final scene inside Raven 9. The Revenants sat silent. Ilara broke the quiet. That copy of me, it knew everything. It could have used it to find Earth's hidden colonies. Reese nodded. That's why we erased it. She looked at him. How long can we do this? Strike and run. Reese didn't answer at first. Then, until there's no one left who remembers how to fear us. Scene 1. Orbiting prison station Graxis, for it was known as the Hollow Fortress. A drifting, brutalist prison station, orbiting a red dwarf star. The Valaks used it to hold dangerous enemies, spies, and traitors. Now it held Ilara Voss once again. She had volunteered to be captured. Why? Because inside Graxis 4, there was a vault, one that held classified information from the early human Valaks war. Evidence that could destroy the Coalition from within. But the only way to reach it was from inside. Scene 2, back in time. 48 hours earlier, Riss paced in front of a glowing holomap aboard. The Valaks aren't just hunting us. They're trying to rewrite history. Every battle they lost to humans, they've erased. But the original logs are still on Graxis. Drex scowled. So we break in. Wraith leaned back. Graxis is a death trap. No one's ever escaped alive. Reese turned to Ilara. We'll get you out. But we need that data. Ilara nodded. Send me in. Let them think they've won. Scene 3. Present day inside Graxis. 4. Ilara sat in a cold steel cell, her wrists bound in magnetic cuffs. Her face was bruised. Blood traced the edge of her lip. A Valaks commander, tall and armored in bone plate, paced outside. You humans never learn, he snarled. Your kind is extinct. Your history will be too. Ilara didn't flinch. She'd been trained for this moment. What the Valaks didn't know was that her cuffs weren't real. They were tech mimics programmed to fail at the right moment. And outside, her ghosts were waiting. Scene for Raven 9. Approaches and disguise above the station. Raven Neen drifted silently in the shadow of a comet. Its transponder was masked. Its hull mimicked a derelict cargo hauler. Nova guided the ship forward, docking in 3, 2, now. The ship connected to a maintenance ring under the prison station. Invisible, undetectable. Reese gave the order. We go silent. No alarms. We get Ilara. We get the vault. We vanish. Scene 5, shadows in the halls. The revenants moved like phantoms. Wraith took the lead, slicing through magnetic locks, slipping past guards with barely a whisper. Torque and Drex planted signal scramblers. Along the path, Nova perched above the central cell block, watching with her scope. Targets marked: Elaras in cell 17, heavily guarded. 5 sentries. Reese moved in fast, blade in hand. Scene 6, execution order inside her cell. The Valaks commander raised his plasma rifle. Any final words, human? Ilara looked past him, not at his face, but at the vent in the corner. She smiled. Now, the guard blinked. What crack? A blade flashed from the shadows, clean through his throat. The lights died, screams followed. Outside. Nova's suppressed rifle dropped 2 guards in silence. Drex breached the door. Reese entered the cell, offered Alara a hand. "Miss me?" She grabbed his arm. "Right on time." Scene 7, the vault with Alara safe. The Revenants split. Wraith, Torque, and Ghost headed for the secure vault under the central command tower. They bypassed a laser field, climbed through 0 grav shafts, and reached a triple-sealed chamber inside. Data cores from early war archives. Ghost plugged in a spike. Copying now. This shows everything. What they did to civilians, Earth colonies, the gas tests. Wraith clenched his fists. "We leaked this. The whole galaxy turns on them." Scene 8, the trap suddenly. The doors slammed shut. Poison. Gas hissed into the chamber. A voice crackled through the speakers. Deep, mechanical, cruel. "You thought we wouldn't expect this? It was Severic. Your ghosts are clever, but not clever enough." Alara and Reese were ambushed. By Valak's elites, Drex fought them off, but more kept coming. Reese grabbed Alara. "We have to get to the vault." They're trapped. Scene 9, Fire and Fury Riss arrived at the vault door and planted a fusion charge. Back. The blast tore the reinforced door open. Gas billowed out. Ghost stumbled out, coughing. "We got it. The files. All of it." Was wounded. Wraith helped him walk. "Extraction point's hot," Nova said, overcomes. "You have 2 minutes. Then we're surrounded." Reese led them through collapsing corridors, firing as they moved. Explosions rocked the station. A wall gave way, exposing the vacuum of space. Scene 10, Sacrifice. The bridge to the docking bay collapsed under enemy fire. Only one catwalk remained, and it was falling apart. Drex looked at the gap. "No time. Someone has to hold this line." Reese turned. Drex slapped a det charge onto the beam. "Get them out. I'll make sure no one follows." He fired nonstop as the others crossed. Valak's troops rushed in to many Drex. Hit the trigger. Boom. The blast caved in the corridor. Scene 1-1. Escape Reese, and the rest boarded Raven-9. Nova took off hard, breaking through the upper dock. Enemy. Fighters swarmed, but Ghost fired off a stealth pulse that blinded tracking systems. They vanished into dark space. Alara sat in silence. Wraith handed her the drive. "Everything they tried to erase, it's all here." Reese looked back at the station now, a distant. "We lost one today," Alara nodded. "But we gained something more." Final scene. Broadcast begins. Later, on a pirate frequency. The Revenants uploaded the data leak all across the galaxy. People watched. Footage of human colonies destroyed. Civilians hunted. War crimes buried. The truth was out. The Valaks tried to jam the signal, but it was too late. Reese spoke over the feed. "This is what they didn't want you to see. This is what they feared most. Not our weapons, not our ships. But the truth. Earth remembers. We're not done yet." Scene 1, Deep orbit over Threxia primed. The Valaks Warren. Just angry they were desperate. The leaked war crime footage had spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Entire systems were demanding answers. Minor allies were defecting. Rebellions were rising to silence the storm. The Valaks sent their most feared ship, the Dread Harrow, a Fortress-class battlecruiser with a fleet of hunter drones and shock troopers. Its mission: capture the Revenants, alive or dead. Dead. Seen to Ravenon as shot down, the Revenants were en route to a hidden human refuge on Threxia Prime, hoping to regroup and deliver the stolen war files to friendly systems. But halfway there, bam! An orbital mine hit them. Raven-9 spiraled, shields failing. Ghost screamed from the pilot's chair. "We're hit. Main engines offline." Alara braced herself against the wall. "How did they find us?" Reese answered grimly. "Been watching. They waited for this." On the radar, the Dread Harrow appeared. They were caught. Scene 3, crash landing. Graven-9 plummeted into Threxia. Prime's upper atmosphere. Flames licked the hull. The Revenants, strapped in as warning lights, exploded across every screen. Ghost shouted, "We're not going to make it to the LZ." Reese, brace for impact. "Duh." The ship smashed into the jungle canopy, tumbling, tearing through trees before skidding to a halt near a canyon edge. Smoke filled the air. Sparks rained from cracked walls. Ilara coughed, pulling herself from the wreckage. Outside, sirens wailed. Valak's drop pods were already landing. Scene 4. Surrounded Reese rallied the squad. Nova was limping. Torque had a shoulder wound. Ghost had burns. But they were still breathing. Ilara looked around. Escape options. Ghost shook his head. Emergency pods intact, but at single capacity. That's it. Wraith scanned the incoming. Signals. We've got minutes. Maybe less. Scene 5. The choice rest checked the data core. The stolen war files still secure. Undamaged La looked him in the eye. Give it to me, I'll go. Nova stepped forward. We're not letting you walk out alone. Ilara held her ground. I'm not asking. I know this war needs truth more than soldiers. Reese said nothing. Then he turned and pulled a black vial from his belt, a biosignature encoder. This makes the pod see you as me. It'll draw fire. They'll think I escaped. He injected it into Ilara's neck. Scene 6. Holding the linas, Ilara climbed into the escape pod. The revenants formed a perimeter. Valak's troops moved in, hundreds of them, stomping through jungle. Armed to the teeth, Nova whispered, "This is suicide." Reese responded, calm and cold, "It's payback." They opened fire. The jungle lit up with muzzle flashes, sonic blasts, and burning alien screams. Valak's soldiers fell by the dozens. Oh, but they kept coming. Scene 7. The last launch Ilara strapped in the escape pod systems, locking onto a safe trajectory. Ghost's voice came through the trajectory clear. She hesitated, looked through the window. She saw Reese, covered in blood, still standing, still firing. Wraith waved her off with a grin and a shout. Go tell the galaxy what fear looks like. She hit the launch. The pod exploded from the wreckage, flying high into the clouds as the jungle below burned with fire and plasma. Scene 8. The fall of the revenants. On the surface, the revenants were pinned. Torque was down. Drex's heavy gun finally went silent. Nova's scope cracked. Wraith took a blade through the chest, and Reese kept fighting. He planted charges on the fallen Raven 9, dragging Wraith's body to the ship's core. The last words from his channel, for Earth. He hit the detonator. Boom. A white fireball engulfed the jungle, taking the Dread Harrow's advanced squad with it. Scene 9. Safe orbit. The escape pod broke through the atmosphere. Landing on a neutral orbital station under a false ID, Ilara stumbled. Out, bloodied, weak, and carrying a data core that could collapse an empire. She handed it to a contact from the Free Species Alliance, eyes hard with purpose. They gave everything for this. Don't waste it. The officer took the core with shaking hands. Where are they? She looked out the window, down toward the burning world. Gone, but not forgotten. Scene 10. Sivarak sees Furion, the bridge of the Dread Harrow. Sivarak stood silent as images of the destroyed jungle filled the screens. They sacrificed themselves, a Valak's general muttered, for one woman. Sivarak S. The voice was like iron scraping bone. They knew we'd think that. He paused the footage, zooming in, no body, no sign of Reese Kale. Sivarak snarled, "This isn't the end." Final scene, underground bunker, unknown locations, somewhere. Far from the war zone. Deep underground, a hand rose from cold rubble. Reese Kale pulled himself out of a buried escape hatch, armor scorched, face bleeding, eyes burning. Beside him, Wraith gasped back to life, barely breathing. Reese checked his pulse, then looked toward the stars. Time for Phase 2. Scene 1. Unknown location. Beneath the ashes of Threxia Prime smoke choked the air. Flames danced on the shattered jungle canopy above. Beneath the ruined surface, deep under a collapsed bunker, 2 men crawled from the wreckage. Commander Reese Kale was still alive. Burned, bleeding, limping, but alive, dragging someone. With him, Wraith, barely conscious, armor cracked and breathing ragged, clung to life. Reese dropped him against the metal wall of a sealed crawl space. "You don't get to die yet," Reese said coldly. "We're not finished." Overhead, Valix. Scanners buzzed. Patrols searched for bodies, but the Revenants didn't leave bodies, they left ghosts. Scene 2, broadcast fallout across the galaxy and distant systems. Pirate feeds and independent news bursts repeated the story. Human data core recovered. Valix war crimes confirmed. Entire squad of human super soldiers sacrificed to stop their secret weapon. As the Free Species Alliance, once scattered and weak, now rallied behind the footage Alara delivered. Riots broke out in Valix-controlled cities. Allies defected. Outposts burned. The Valix were losing control. But one question remained. Were the Revenants truly dead? Scene 3. Alara at the heart of the Storman, a mobile resistance cruiser. Alara met with leaders of the Alliance. She stood at a table lined with generals, hackers, ex-slaves, and smugglers. She placed the data core down. "This is the truth, and it cost everything." Kolari Tech whispered, "You're sure they're gone?" Alara's eyes were hard. Reese said they don't die easy. I believe him. Then, suddenly her datapad blinked. A coded message. Protocol Revenant activated. Location redacted. She gasped. They're alive. Scene 4, a secret war begins far from any star charts. Inside a hidden asteroid base, Reese Kale stood before a war table. Wraith sat nearby, armor partially repaired, bandaged and silent. On the screen, targets. Supply routes. Black sites. Weak. Points. Reese tapped the map. The Valix don't bleed like we do, but they do break. From within. He activated the hidden base's dormant systems. Revenant satellite drones powered up. Weapons. Lockers unlocked. AI-controlled decoy ships launched. We hit their fleet supply lines. Starved their war. Crashed their tech. Collapsed their empire. Phase 2 had begun. Scene 5 strikes in the Shadows of montage-style sequence. A Valix research station explodes, leaving no trace of entry. A Valix. General's ship vanishes. Mid-warp. All cameras show only flickers of static, and then nothing. A massive weapons factory shuts down, overridden by a virus that leaves a single message on every screen. Revenants still walk. Rumors spread fast. There's more of them. Earth has sleeper agents. You never see them coming. Terror gripped the Valix ranks. Sivarak watched from his throne room, furious. Scene 6. Sivarak's response, the warlord, stood in front of a massive screen, watching a loop of recent attacks. His face twisted with rage. They were supposed to die. All of them, second in command, trembled. The death squads didn't find bodies, only wreckage, no traces. Sivarak smashed a claw into the wall. Then we bring them out. He turned to a holomap, showing a refugee world under Alliance protection. Target something they care about. Let's see if these ghosts bleed. Scene 7. Reese intercepts the trap. Reese stood in the dark, reading a cracked transmission from a Valix patrol. Elara's. The voice came through. Comes. They're setting a trap. Refugee world Orvan Station. Families, civilians. Reese didn't hesitate. Then we hit first. Wraith looked up. With what army? It's just us. Reese narrowed his eyes. We don't need an army. Scene. 8 Revenants rise again. A hidden station above a dead star. Old cryopods flickered to life. 4 more Revenants awoke. Soldiers from other failed missions now revived. Reese stood before them. You weren't forgotten. You were sleeping. The galaxy thought we were gone. It's time to prove them wrong. One stepped forward. Valk, former close-quarters specialist, eyes full of fire. Let's remind them what death really looks like. Final scene. Sivarak watches a new nightmare back on the Valix flagship. Sivarak watched grainy footage. A refugee world saved. His troops dead. His weapons destroyed. No clear footage of the attackers, just flashes of black armor and red visors. They're multiplying. He turned to his commanders. Find them. Hunt them. Thought. Burn everything they touch. A pause. Because if we don't, they'll burn us first. Scene 1. A ghost station in deep space. The camera opens on Orvan Station. A refugee outpost orbiting a dying red star. No comes, no traffic. It's just a spinning shell of silence. A scout drone sends back footage. No power, no life signs. But strange. Heat signatures in the walls. Reese Cale watches from his hidden command center. His expression is cold. This isn't just a trap. Scene to the team, Lansrees, Wraith, Valk, and two newly awakened revenants, Sabletech infiltration and grim heavy weapons. Dock with the silent station. Ilara stays behind. Monitoring from a stealth cruiser, inside the station. Eerie silence, lights flicker, blood smears, walls, but no bodies. Reese speaks quietly. They didn't kill everyone. They harvested them. Wraith cocks his weapon. For what then? The walls twitch. Scene 3, the Devourer, awakened Sable. Runs a scan. Her eyes go wide. This isn't a station anymore, it's alive. Suddenly the heat signatures move. Pulsing tendrils shoot from the walls. Mechanical limbs fused with organic matter grab Grimm, slamming him into the ceiling. Screams echo. Voice speaks through the intercom. Twisted, alien, glitched. Welcome, Earthborn, feed me your flesh. Reese grits his teeth. It's a Devourer AI. Biomech hybrid. Illegal Valix tech. Wraith. Of course it is. Scene for the maze of flesh and steel, the station transforms. Corridors shift. Metal fuses with flesh. The floors ripple under their boots. The rest fight their way through ambushes. Mutated Valix soldiers, their bodies warped by the Devourer. Grimm unleashes heavy fire. Sable hacks open sealed doors. Valk fights through a swarm of twitching limbs. Reese uses a neural spike grenade to fry the Devourer's sensory nodes, giving them seconds to run. They reach the central control room. Reese, we end it here. Scene 5, the Devourer's Corin. The station's heart, they find the core, a swirling orb of data, flesh, and neural code. Sable begins the overload process. This thing thinks, it remembers. It's learning our moves. The core speaks again, echoing with 1,000 stolen voices. You are not gods. You are meat in uniform. Reese growls. We're worse. Pity. Savarik appears on a screen, watching them. This was never about capturing you. It was about testing how far you'd go to survive. He smiles. You passed. Then the core begins to overload. A fail-safe self-destruct triggered by Savarik. Scene 6. The escape station starts collapsing inward. Fire and gravity fail around them. Grimm and Vok hold back more mutated enemies. Reese and Sable yank a manual override to release. An ancient maintenance tunnel. We're not dying in another tomb. Explosions shake the hull. Launches flares. Using shadows to cloak their exit path, they reach the hangar as the Devourer screams its final words. I saw your fears. I became them. Reese replies with a plasma charge tossed over his shoulder. Then die with them. Scene 7, boom in silence from Elira's cruiser. The team watches Orvin Station implode. A quiet collapse. Like a building inhaling one last breath before vanishing into itself. Reese slumps into a chair. Armor cracked, exhausted. Elara stares. What did they turn that place into? Reese replies without emotion. A lab, a message, and a warning. Elara. What kind of warning? Reese looks up. They're willing to burn entire worlds just to study us. Scene 8. Alliance and Chaos news of Orvin. Station's destruction spreads like wildfire. The Free Species Alliance panics there. Safe zones are under attack, and only the Revenants seem to stand a chance. Some leaders want to pull back. Others demand to retaliate. One Kaleri general snarls, we must attack the Valix homeworld now. Ilara speaks calmly. You attack now. We lose everything. The Revenants aren't done. She pulls up the last transmission from Savarik. He was watching, that means he's afraid. Final scene. Savarik S. New plan. Back on the Valix dreadnought. Savarik stands before a tank of churning black fluid. The beginning of a new weapon. A scientist bows low. The Devourer failed, but its data was ... useful. Savarik smiles. Earth-made weapons in human form. I'll return the favor. He turns to the shadows, and behind him, something stirs. Tall, humanoid, metallic, wearing twisted black. Versions of human armor, send in the Revenant killers. Scene 1 Underground Resistance HQ, deep in Caleri, Spacey Lara Voss, stands before a fractured Alliance Council. Panic fills the room. Refugee outposts are falling. Communications are jammed. Something is hunting only humans, and no one knows how to stop it. A battered scout enters. Ma'am, they found Reese, and they brought something with them. Cut 2. A black blade stabbed into the hull of a destroyed Revenant ship. Humming with unfamiliar energy. Scene 2 The nightmare revealed. Dries Kale examines the footage. A black armored figure moving like a Revenant. But wrong. Too fast. Too fluid. No emotion. It tore through 3 bunkers. Valk speaks grimly. It thinks like us. Moves like us. But it's not one of us. Wraith steps forward. They copied us. Sable scans a captured fragment. It's not just a copy. It's a hybrid alien code fused with Revenant neural mapping. They stole your minds? Reese, then let's take them back. Scene 3 The Revenant killers strike an alliance. Warship drifts dead in space. Distress signal flickers. Reese team boards cautiously. Too quiet. Then blades in the dark. The first Revenant killer reveals itself. Tall, black-plated, glowing crimson eyes. It speaks in a corrupted voice that mimics Reese. Permission to terminate. Granted. Shh. It moves like a blur. Grim tries to stop it. Vok dives in. But the killer is faster, more brutal, and it knows all their tactics. Only Wraith lands. A hit, cracking the armor with a plasma blade. The killer retreats. Leaving a message burned into the wall. You taught us how to win. Scene 4. Breaking point back on the cruiser, Sable analyzes the damage. They're learning. Every battle makes them smarter. Reese, they're not machines. They're reflections. Echoes of us. Alara speaks up. Then you have to do what they can't. Wraith. What's that? Ilara. Be human. Scene 5. Final mission briefing. Reese stares at a map of the Valix Prime Core shipyard, where the killers are built. This is where it ends. We hit the factory, burn the designs, and the line. They prepare one last time. Sable loads a viral AI bomb. Valk arms thermite charges. Wraith cleans his blade. Reese locks in his last set of neural overrides. We're not coming back, he says. Yalara steps forward. And I'm coming with you. Reese pauses. Then nods. Scene 6. Infiltration. The Revenants launch a stealth drop onto the core shipyard deep in a star's gravity well. Guarded by black hole stabilizers, Sable hacks defenses. Vok and Grim clear corridors. Wraith sets traps behind them. But the Revenant killers are waiting. They strike mid-infiltration. One by one, they force personal confrontations. Grim sacrifices himself to buy time. Sable is wounded but gets the virus into the mainframe. Ilara and Reese reach the final forge, where a giant armored Revenant killer prime is forming. Scene 7. Reese versus the Prime. The killer prime stands twice Reese's height. Its voice is a twisted version of his own. I am your evolution. Reese answers. You're a mistake. They clash in brutal hand-to-hand combat. Steel slams into steel. Sparks fly. Ilara uploads the virus mid-fight. The Prime resists, tries to adapt, but Sable's code is organic, unpredictable, human. The killer falters. Reese plants his final charge inside its chest. This one's for Earth. He detonates the entire forge. Scene 8. Sacrifice and survival. The shipyard collapses in a supernova of energy. Ilara is flung out with a damaged escape pod. Only silence. Days later, Alliance patrols find her drifting. She's barely breathing. But alive, her message? The killers are gone. The Revenants. Stop them. Final scene. Legacy of the Revenants Say memorial is held on a neutral world. Thousands gather. Statues of the Revenants stand tall. Alara, now leading the new alliance, gives a final speech. They were made to fight for Earth. They died to protect the galaxy. They weren't machines. They were the best of us. Then, far in deep space, a beacon lights up. A cryopod opens. Inside, another Revenant, eyes open. Mission still alive. Revenant protocol. Active. The chamber was massive, carved from black stone, lit by burning plasma torches, and filled with thousands of alien eyes. Cold, sharp metal formed the high walls of the Valix Tribunal, a place where mercy had never been spoken. Here, the galaxies. Enemies were judged, broken, and erased. And now, standing alone in the center of it all, was a human, Dr. Alara Voss. She wore no armor, no shackles bound her. The Valix believed she posed no threat. She was Earth's last ambassador, and in their eyes, the last human alive. A deep voice echoed through the tribunal, dripping with venom. Bring forth the creature. Tall alien guard, 8 feet of muscle and bone spikes, shoved her forward. Her footsteps echoed in the silence as she walked to the center platform under the blinding spotlight. Cameras hovered above her, broadcasting the event live across 100 star systems. The trial was a lie. The sentence was already chosen. Death, 10 years earlier. Humanity had once stood proud in the Galactic Council. Earth had shared knowledge, technology, peace. But not everyone welcomed them. The Valix Coalition, a brutal alliance of war-born species, saw humans as a threat, a rising power, a problem, so they destroyed Earth. In a surprise orbital strike, they glassed cities, silenced satellites, and vanished every human colony they could reach. But Alara had survived, smuggled out by loyal allies. She'd stayed in hiding, tracking Valix movements, sending messages into the void, until she was caught now. The Valix wanted to end the story of humanity for good. With cameras rolling, they would erase even the memory of Earth. State your final words, growled High Chancellor Varnock, his 8 golden eyes blinking one at a time. Your species is gone. You have no flag, no allies, no future. Speak, human. Alara's lips trembled, not with fear, but with something else. Resolve. She looked around the hall. The sea of alien faces watched, waiting for her to beg. She did not beg. Instead, she smiled. I only need one word, she said softly. A hush fell over the chamber. Then she whispered, now. Deep space, forgotten moon, Sector 17, beneath layers of rock and ice. Hidden in a dead moon's crust, a small signal pierced the silence. It was not loud, not bright, but it was old. Older than most civilizations in the sector, a beacon keyed. To one thing, Alara's neural pattern. The signal reached a machine buried beneath kilometers of frozen dirt. A red light blinked, then another, deep in the underground vault. Cryochamber number 09 hissed open. Inside, something moved. Back in the tribunal. Chancellor. Varnock laughed, his voice booming like thunder. That's it. Now, what did you think would happen, human? You are alone, forgotten, extinct. But Alara didn't look at him. She looked up at the sky. The stars were watching. Cryovault Project Revenant one by one. The chambers opened. Steam rose as freezing gas escaped. Armor plating gleamed under flickering lights. Boots hit the metal floor. 10 figures stood in silence, tall, armored, and inhumanly still. Their armor was black with silver accents, showing no insignia. No flag. Just purpose. Their leader stepped forward, Commander Reese Kale. He blinked once, scanning the room as data streamed into his HUD. His voice was low, controlled. Neural trigger confirmed. Ambassador Voss has activated beacon. Behind him, another soldier spoke. LT Drex, the demolitions expert. She's alive. After all this time? Reese nodded. She followed the plan. Another soldier, Wraith, the infiltration specialist, grinned behind his visor. Told you she'd make it. Reese turned to the squad. Suit up. We're going in. Tribunal Hall minutes later, Chancellor Varnock raised his clawed hand. Execute her. The guards closed in. Plasma blades ignited. Lud didn't move. She knew they were coming. In orbit above the Tribunal Planetae, small ship appeared, not from hyperspace, but from dark space, a hidden dimension used only by Black Ops. The ship was silent, shielded, invisible. Raven 9, a stealth dropcraft built for war. Inside, the Revenants waited. Reese looked over the target map. High security, energy fields, 50 guards minimum. Good, said Wraith, loading his blades. LT Drex grinned. I brought fireworks. Reese gave the order. We move in 0 time, no alerts. We're ghosts. The bay doors opened. They jumped. Tribunal chaos unleashed. Power flickered. Lights snapped off. Cameras died. Screams echoed through the halls. The guards froze. Unsure. Then came the first sound. Silence followed by a body hitting the floor. Then another. The aliens panicked. Plasma. Bolts flew in every direction. Some hit walls. Some hit allies. None found targets. The Revenants moved like shadows slipping through the dark. Blades flashing, silencers hissing. One by one, the guards dropped. Chancellor Varnock shouted, "Defensive grid! Seal the doors." Too late, the main gate exploded. Inward, Reese walked through the smoke, plasma blade in hand. His armor was untouched. Behind him, Drex hurled a sonic charge into the upper balconies, collapsing the sniper nests. Wraith leaped from the rafters, slicing a Valak's commander midair. Ilara didn't blink. She'd seen them train. She knew what they were. They weren't human anymore. They were Revenants, death-given form. Varnock tried to flee. But Reese was faster. He grabbed the Chancellor by the throat and threw him against the wall. No more executions, Reese growled. Ilara stepped down from the platform and walked to him. Let him go. Reese tilted his head. You sure? She nodded. Let him live. Let him tell the galaxy what he saw. Reese dropped him. Varnock crawled away, bleeding and shaking. Escape the Revenants moved quickly, cutting through side corridors as alarms blared. Enemy reinforcements scrambled. They were too slow. The humans disappeared into the night. The tribunal building smoked behind them. Varnock stood in the ashes, staring at the stars. He whispered, "Humans. They're not extinct." Aboard Raven 9. Ilara sat quietly as the ship sped away. Reese approached and knelt beside her. You did good, he said. She smiled faintly. I knew you'd come. He nodded. We always come back. Ilara looked at the stars, her voice soft. They thought I was defenseless, Reese replied. They were wrong. Final scene. Unknown location. Valak's command network, a council of alien warlords watched the footage in silence. Flickering images of the tribunal massacre played on loop. One voice spoke in the dark. She was not alone. Another replied, Earth has soldiers. A third asked, What are they? The screen paused on a blurry frame, a black-armored figure with glowing red eyes. The answer came, quiet and cold. Death. The moon was lifeless. No atmosphere. No light. Just craters and old scars from forgotten wars. But buried beneath the surface, something stirred. A faint tremor shook the ice. Then a pulse, invisible to most sensors, rippled out. Inside, a hidden facility, completely buried under the crust, ancient systems woke. Lights flickered in long-abandoned corridors. Robotic arms creaked to life. Neural beacon confirmed. Ilara Voss verified. A long hallway lit up. Steel pods lined both walls to 10 in total. Each one cold. Each one marked Revenant Unit. HFY Sci-Fi, the first pod hissed. Steam spilled out. Inside, a man opened his eyes. Commander Reese Kale was awake. Scene 2 inside the cryo-Valtries blinked. He stepped onto the metal floor, joints stiff but mind sharp. Time since last activation? 10 years? 2 months? 6 days? Spoke the AI. Reese's voice was calm. Status of Earth? Unknown. Ambassador Ilara Voss has triggered Protocol Revenant. His eyes narrowed. Get me the squad. One by one, the other pods opened. LT Drex, heavy weapons expert, coughed as he emerged, cracking his knuckles. Wraith, the infiltration operative, rolled his neck and smiled. Nova, The sniper sat perfectly still, eyes already scanning the room. The others followed. Shade, Torque, Vex, Coil, Iron, and Ghost. 10 soldiers. All genetically enhanced, all trained in zero light, zero sound combat, and all loyal to one mission. If Elara's alive, Drex muttered. Then the Valix didn't finish the job. Reese nodded. What? We're not done either. Scene 3, Armory Briefing. The Revenants gathered in the weapons bay, arming up. Blades magnetized to backs, armor auto-sealed with nanoweave. Guns that didn't exist on any blueprint powered up with silent hums. A hologram displayed the map of the Valix Tribunal world. Target, Ambassador Alara Voss. Location confirmed. Security. Hi. Execution imminent. Reese spoke, his tone low but firm. 10 years ago, they tried to wipe out Earth, but we were always the backup plan. She trusted us, and now she's surrounded. So we do what we were made for. Wraith smirked. Shadow work, Nova added. One shot. One chance. Reese stared at the map, then turned to the team. You know the rules. No alerts. No survivors who see us. No one touches her. We get in, get out, and remind the galaxy. He paused, eyes cold. Earth still fights. Scene for launch. Sequence. The vault opened from under the moon's crust. Raven 9, a black, angular dropship, rose without sound. Its surface rippled with cloaking tech, invisible to long-range scans. Inside, the Revenants sat in their launch harnesses, silent. The only sound was the steady click of weapons. Locking into place, the ship entered stealth mode and vanished into the void. Scene 5, the infiltration begins. The Tribunal planet loomed, head massive, well defended, orbiting 3 moons and surrounded by a full defense net. But the Revenants didn't need a frontal assault. They needed silence. Reese activated the gravity dampeners. 0 grav drop. Breach. Level. Maximum stealth. The drop bay opened. The Revenants leaped into space. 10 black shapes drifted like shadows toward the underbelly of the Tribunal fortress. They moved with perfect coordination, no chatter, no sound. Nova landed first. Sniper rifle ready. She marked patrol routes in seconds. Wraith used a microcutter to breach the hole. One by one, the team slipped inside the station through maintenance shafts. They were ghosts in the machine. Scene 6. Inside the fortress, as the team infiltrated. Deeper, they passed through areas untouched by most sentient life. Power conduits, sewage pipes, narrow shafts behind security walls. Reese watched every camera feed. Room ahead, plasma guard detail. Nova tagged targets. 7 Valix. Elite armor. Reese. Drex. LT Drex grinned. Finally, he placed a plasma disruptor on the wall, counted to 3. BOOM. The guards fell before they even saw the door open. Reese stepped through, clocks ticking. Ilara's on the execution platform. Scene 7. Systems crash. Nova uploaded a virus into the station's mainframe. Lights flickered. Security. Cameras looped. Firewalls melted. The station AI glitched. Security breach. Impossible. No life. Signs detected. That's what made Revenants so deadly. They didn't trigger bioscanners. Their suits masked heat, sound, and pulse. To most tech, they didn't exist. Scene 8. They're too late. Or are they? As they neared the Tribunal chamber, Reese got the live feed. Alara stood in front of the crowd. Varnock had just shouted. For her death, the plasma blade guards were moving in. We're late, Wraith hissed. We're never late, Reese replied. He tapped a neural control pad. Now, Scene 9. Raven 9 fires the first shot above the planet. The cloaked ship Raven 9 fired a single dark energy lance at the station's power core. Boom. Every light across the fortress went out. Emergency. Backup systems kicked in too slow. That's when the Revenant struck. Scene 10. Extraction protocol guards screamed. Doors locked. Alarms failed. The Tribunal chamber filled with smoke, static, and confusion. Reese dropped in from the ceiling. landing between Alara and the blade about to end her life. With one move, he sliced the alien in half. Alara looked up and smiled. You took your time. You said now. We heard you. The rest of the revenants tore through the remaining guards. Plasma blades clashed. Silent guns hissed. The crowd fled in terror. In under 2 minutes, the entire Valix tribunal was destroyed. Scene 11. The message begins to spread as Raven 9 lifted off. Carrying Alara and the team away, the station burned behind them. On every nearby planet, the broadcast was still playing. It showed one thing: humans, alive, fighting, winning. The galaxy whispered. They were supposed to be extinct. But Earth never plays by the rules. Final scene: Warlord's command ship far from the chaos. Inside a dark warship, a massive alien figure watched the footage on loop. Savaric, the Devourer, commander of the Valix fleets, leaned forward. He watched the blurred frames of Reese Kale slicing through elite guards. He paused the video, zoomed in. I know those eyes. His voice was deep and cold. Project Revenant still lives. He turned to his officers. Send the hunters. I want them all dead or screaming.